Greetings, my excellent friends. The Dead Monk welcomes you to Purgatory. And The Wheel of Time, Amazon Prime, costs $5 to join Rosamund Pike's Moraine. Now, if you don't know anything about The Wheel of Time, it's a book series. It's a fantasy series. Now, it's more in the classical fantasy realm, like Lord of the Rings, not like A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, the series went 14 books. Originally, it was supposed to be something like 5 or 6, I think. Maybe even less. But the series was making money, and it's written by Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan was making plenty of money, and that probably led him to just milk it and milk it. In the middle, you had a bunch of books where hardly anything happened, and it just dragged on. Well, then eventually he found out he had some rare disease, and he probably wasn't going to last long. And that was after, I think, 11 books or so. So he laid out the rest of the story, and then he ended up dying. But then he and his wife had already picked out Brandon Sanderson to finish off the series, and Brandon wrote the last 3. I think it was 3. Finally, stuff happened again. And yeah, I really like the series. As I said, it does drag a little bit in the middle, but I think it's great. Now, I have a few reservations about it being made in today's world of Hollywood, but we'll get to that. So let's just see what we have here. We have, a couple months ago they said Rosamund Pike was going to be in it. Playing Moraine, which I really like her, so I like that casting choice. And it sounds to me like the series they're making is they're just doing the first book. And the first book is she goes off to some village, and you have all these young people that then tag along with her on an adventure where, well, we'll get into some of that. Alright, but these are all the people that they've added to the show. I don't know any of these people. Never heard of them before. So I don't know if they're good casting choices, but just looking at them and who they're supposed to be. So going from left to right. Let's see, this one plays Egwene. Some of the characters have names where who knows how to pronounce them. She looks fine for that. This guy's Perrin, and I think he looks fitting for that. This is Matt. Yeah, that works. Nynaeve, whatever her name is, and Rand. All these look like they're, just in the way they look like decent choices for the characters. But as I said, I don't know any of these actors, so maybe they're good, maybe they're not, I don't know. And, let's see. The Wheel of Time is set in a sprawling fantasy world where magic exists, but can only be accessed by certain women. Well, some men, too. Pike's Moraine is one of these women. Well, alright. Some men can access magic, too. They're just not allowed to. Some of them do anyway. Alright, so anyway, Pike's Moraine is one of these women, a member of the powerful all-female organization known as the Aes Sedai. No, that's not Sendai, it's Sedai. She comes to the small town of Two Rivers and embarks on a world-spanning journey with 5 young men and women. One of them is prophesied to be the Dragon Reborn, a being who will either save or destroy humanity. Yeah, that's Rand up here. Now, some criticism I've heard is that the show's focusing on Moraine, not on the real main characters of the story. But, well, in the first book, all the kids, they really aren't powerful yet or anything. So, I can understand if she's the focus on the first series. Now, once it progresses further, she shouldn't be the focus. It should be, well, these and some other characters are going to come along later. Although she still has a major part. So, I'll reserve judgment on that. What I'm worried about is just in today's Hollywood, well, are they just going to wokeify this? I could easily see them doing it. One aspect that I can see them wanting to just get rid of completely. So, well, to spoil a little bit of the story, although not really, you have Rand here. Well, so these are all very important characters. And, You have a few more that are going to come along later, but as of the first book, yeah, you have Moraine and then these 5 kids. Those are the main characters. Now, the main character, though, is Rand, over here on the far right. He's basically a chosen one archetype. And yes, he's the Dragon Reborn. Now, eventually, he ends up with 3 wives. Neither one of these two are any of his wives. Other characters you'll meet later. But yeah, he ends up with three wives. Are they going to leave that in there? I don't know. My guess is that's something they might change. But yeah, let's see. According to Brandon Sanderson, as I said, he picked up for Robert Jordan and finished the rest of the series, the last 3 books, after Jordan died. And what Brandon Sanderson says about the series adaptation and the changes being made by the writer's room, he says, I found the vast majority. I assume that's vast. I found the vast majority of these decisions to be excellent choices, things that will give the show its own soul, but still in line with the feel and tone of the books. I can't say for certain, but my instincts say the fan base will in general respond to them positively. There are a few I offered suggestions on, and we'll see. Alright, so there's not much more than that would be offered here. As I said, they could go and wokeify it, and hopefully they don't. If they stick fairly close to the story, I think this could be a very good series. Now, rather than doing 1 season per book, I think at the beginning and at the end it would be like that, but in the middle you can combine 2 or 3 books into 1 season. We don't need 14 years of this show. Now, we just got done with an adaptation of a long fantasy series. You may have heard of it. The show was called Game of Thrones. The book series is called A Song of Ice and Fire. And yeah, that disappointed a lot of people. But here's why I think this one has a major leg up on that. A Song of Ice and Fire wasn't finished. There were 4 books when the show started. The 5th book came out that same year. So basically, there were 5 books they had to work on, and there still isn't a 6th book. George Martin, you suck. Now, with this though, the series is complete. Okay, it's not like eventually the writers are going to have to come up with all new material for everything, because the series is there, it's done. So they have the source material for everything. Now yes, if they go and change things too much, it could be very bad, but they have the story there. Okay? So that's good. I mean, that's what happened with Game of Thrones. As soon as they ran out of source material, that's when the show started to take a dive. Well, from what everyone tells me. I stopped watching very early on. I was extremely disappointed with the show. I do love the books, though. Can't recommend them, though, because, well, I mean, what happened with Robert Jordan dying before he could finish the series, I just don't see George Martin finishing A Song of Ice and Fire before he dies. I just don't see it happening. He is extremely slow with those books, and he's already pretty old. Unlike that show, this one, they have source material for everything, so all they have to do is stick fairly close to the story. I was extremely excited when it was announced that HBO was doing A Song of Ice and Fire adaptation, and in the end it didn't go well for a lot of people. I want to say I would be even more excited about this one, if not for the disappointment of Game of Thrones. But I do think I like this book series better, probably because it actually has an ending. If A Song of Ice and Fire had an ending, I don't know, might be a toss-up. Now, if you want to read the books before the series comes out, and I'm not sure when they plan on having the first series of this, I don't know, I mean, if they just pick these people, like, late 2020 maybe? I have no idea. Does it say down here? I mean, I'm sure I can find it in another article. No, this doesn't say anything. Alright. I'm sure it's available somewhere. But if you plan on reading the series before the show comes out, because you've never read them, just keep in mind, 14 books. Many of them pretty long. But yeah, it's a lot of books to go through. So get started now. Alright, well, even with the disappointment that was Game of Thrones, as I said, I'm looking forward to this. As I said, hopefully they can make the show without just trying to wokeify everything in it. But we'll see. So if you made it this far, please consider liking or subscribing. And hey, let me know if you are excited about this show too. In the meantime, just go out there and be excellent to each other. Farewell.